Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is exploring some foundational American inventions. We're not just listing them, though. We want to see how they, well, profoundly shaped not just the US, but really the entire world. We've gathered insights trying to get beyond the usual headlines, because when you really think about it, these aren't just dusty history facts. They touch, every part of your daily life, probably in ways you don't even notice anymore. We're talking lighting your home, how you talk to people, how you get around, even, things that keep you healthy, everyday stuff we take for granted. But each one has this fascinating backstory.
And what's really insightful, I think, is looking at how these things came about. Often necessity, sometimes curiosity, maybe even pure accident.
Yeah.
But they fundamentally shifted society. And they laid the groundwork for, well, everything that came after. It makes you wonder, what can we learn about innovation itself from these examples?
That's a great way to frame it. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with maybe the most fundamental shifts, power and communication.
Right? Electricity. You often hear Thomas Edison, 1879, the light bulb.
The classic example.
Exactly. But the deep dive insight here isn't just the bulb. It was achieving that practical, long-lasting version. He obsessed over the filament, eventually landing on carbonized bamboo and getting a really good vacuum inside the bulb. That's what pushed its lifespan from minutes to, well, hundreds of hours.
Made it actually usable, commercially viable.
Precisely. And then he built the whole system around it. Power generation, distribution. That's what truly lit up the world. It was the ecosystem, not just the single invention.
It really sounds like the Silicon Valley of the 19th century, that whole approach.
You could definitely say that.
And then connection, the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, 1876, enabling voice communication over distance. What's the deeper layer there?
Well, it's easy to just think people talking, but the profound shift was how it kind of unexpectedly rewrote economics and society. Before phones, business was slow, very local.
Right, mail and telegraphs.
Yeah. Suddenly you have instant voice communication. Businesses could manage supply chains across the country. Financial markets could react in real time globally. New industries popped up, things like customer service hotlines, telemarketing.
Things we still deal with every day.
Exactly. It inadvertently created this idea of a global marketplace for information, shrinking the world long before the internet even existed.
Which brings us right to the internet. A modern marvel, definitely, but its roots are American. ARPANET. Department of Defense, 1960s. So when you're scrolling your feed today, what's the fundamental American innovation you're using?
You're using packet switching. That's the core idea ARPANET pioneered.
Okay, what is that exactly?
It's basically breaking down data into small packets. Each packet can travel independently, take different routes through the network, and then reassemble at the other end.
Ah, okay.
This made the network incredibly robust, decentralized, no single point of failure. If one path was blocked, the packets could find another way. That resilience became the absolute backbone of the global internet we rely on.
So connecting these dots, the light bulb, the phone, the internet, it's not just about isolated inventions, is it?
Not at all. They weren't just flashes of genius. They were foundations for interconnected systems. Systems that accelerated growth, connectivity, everything on a global scale. They built the infrastructure for modern life, showing how real foundational innovation often means building the whole framework, not just the initial device.
That idea of building frameworks, that leads us perfectly into transportation. How American inventions didn't just connect us with information, but physically moved us, putting the world on wheels and then in the air.
Yeah, it's remarkable how quickly transportation tech reshaped our whole sense of distance, of geography. Take the automobile.
Henry Ford.
Well, yeah, Ford is key. But cars were developing elsewhere, too. Ford's real revolution wasn't just the Model T in 1908, brilliant as it was. It was how he made it. The moving assembly line, 1913.
That's the game changer.
Absolutely. It slashed production time, slashed costs. Suddenly, a car wasn't just for the rich. The average American family could afford one. And that didn't just sell cars. It spurred suburban growth, demanded highways, created industries like motels, gas stations. It changed everything.
Literally put America and then the world on wheels. And then the leap into the air, the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, Kitty Hawk, 1903. That first flight, it was only 12 seconds, right? Seems so short.
12 seconds, yeah. But the crucial thing wasn't just getting off the ground for a moment. Others had managed short hops.
Okay.
The Wrights achieved controlled, sustained flight. They mastered three-axis control, pitch, roll, yaw.
Yeah.
That was the fundamental problem nobody else had truly solved. Being able to steer it, keep it stable.
The control aspect.
That is the breakthrough. Those 12 seconds proved controlled flight was possible, and that opened the door. Commercial aviation, air cargo, military applications. and eventually it pointed towards space.
And speaking of space, that leap from a field in North Carolina to the moon, that's another huge American story. The U.S. being the first and only country so far to land astronauts on the moon. NASA, the 1960s. What does that signify for innovation?
The moon landing. Wow. That wasn't one invention. It was this monumental achievement in systems integration, engineering on a scale never seen before.
Right.
Thousands of innovations had to work together perfectly. Propulsion, guidance systems, life support, new materials. It showed this national ability to set an incredibly audacious goal and then marshal the resources, the brain power, the sheer will to make it happen, pushing boundaries constantly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit, bring it closer to home. The inventions that maybe seem smaller, but have just as profoundly changed our daily lives, our kitchens, our closets.
The everyday stuff.
Like the microwave oven, that story's pretty cool, right? Accidental discovery.
Totally. Percy Spencer, 1945. He was working on radar tech for Raytheon, had a candy bar in his pocket, walked past an active magnetron, the tube that generates microwaves for radar, and whoops, the candy bar melted.
A happy accident.
A very happy accident.
Yeah.
He saw the potential immediately. It's a classic case of military tech finding a surprising domestic use. A whole new kitchen revolution started right there.
Though I bet it took a while to catch on.
Oh, absolutely. Early ones were huge, expensive, and people were, a bit wary of cooking with invisible rays. But convenience won out eventually. Changed how we eat, how quickly we prepare food.
Then there's something you might be wearing right now. Blue jeans.
Ah, yes. Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis, 1873.
Originally for miners, right? Tough workwear.
Exactly. The problem was durability. Miners' pants kept ripping. Jacob Davis, a tailor, had the idea to add copper rivets at stress points pockets, the base of the fly. He partnered with Levi Strauss, who supplied the sturdy denim fabric.
So pure function first. How do they become this global fashion icon?
It's their sheer versatility, I think, plus comfort. And they became associated with this rugged American individualism. Cowboys, rebels, rock stars.
Right, that whole image.
They just became this blank canvas, adaptable to any style. They scaled from niche workwear to probably the most universal piece of clothing on the planet.
Okay, next one. The modern fast food hamburger. Now, lots of people claim to have invented the hamburger itself.
True. The history there is murky.
But the fast food version, the standardized, widely available burger, that really took off in the U.S. Pioneers like White Castle, then obviously McDonald's, early 20th century. What was the actual innovation?
It wasn't just the sandwich. It was applying the assembly line concept to food. Standardization, efficiency, consistent product anywhere you went. Plus, the franchise model.
The business model.
That allowed for incredible scalability. It made eating out fast, predictable, and affordable. It totally changed dining habits, not just in the U.S., but globally. A huge cultural export.
And we can't talk about everyday tech without the personal computer. Apple, IBM, Microsoft, American companies really drove that revolution, leading to the devices we all carry now. What was the fundamental shift the PC brought?
Democratization of computing power. Simple as that. Before PCs, computers were these giant room-filling things, expensive. Only big companies or universities had them.
The mainframes.
Right. The PC put that power, or at least a version of it, directly into the hands of individuals. Small businesses, homes, schools. It just unleashed this explosion of creativity, productivity, and it paved the way for the connected world we have now.
So if we look at all these everyday things, microwaves, jeans, burgers, PCs, what's the common thread?
I think it shows that innovation isn't always about, some massive technological leap like splitting the atom. It's often about these subtle shifts that just make life more convenient or more accessible or give people new ways to express themselves. And they often start small, maybe solving a niche problem like pants ripping or needing a quick lunch, and then they just scale and scale until they have this massive global impact on habits, on culture. It's pretty amazing.
Beyond just making life easier or more fun, there's another category. Inventions that saved lives, improved health, made things safer for everyone.
Absolutely important ones, yeah.
Like the pacemaker. Paul Zoll, 1950s. A tiny device, but it keeps millions of hearts beating correctly. That's an incredible intersection of medicine and engineering.
It really is. Applying electrical engineering directly to a biological problem. And its impact isn't just, preventing death in that moment. It allows people with serious heart conditions to live relatively normal, active lives. It also opened the door for so many other implantable medical devices we have now.
And then a huge public health victory. The polio vaccine, Dr. Jonas Salk, 1955. Polio was terrifying in the first half of the 20th century.
Absolutely terrifying. Parents lived in fear of it every summer.
Salk's vaccine basically led to its near elimination. How did that breakthrough become such a global success story?
Well, the vaccine itself was obviously a massive scientific achievement. But getting it out there, making it effective globally, that required something else. Robust public health infrastructure, mass vaccination campaigns.
Yeah.
The U.S. really led the way with organizing those efforts.
Right, getting it to the people.
Yeah. And that model scientific breakthrough, plus organized public health action, was adopted worldwide. It showed how American medical innovation, when combined with that kind of initiative, could tackle these devastating global diseases.
Okay, here's one you probably interact with multiple times a day and never think about. The modern electric traffic light. Invented by Garrett Morgan, an African-American inventor back in the 1920s.
That's a great one, often overlooked.
Seriously, every intersection you drive through, you basically got him to thank for keeping order.
And his innovation wasn't just automating stop and go. Roads were getting chaotic with more cars. Morgan's key addition was the third signal, the caution light.
The yellow light.
Exactly. That intermediate step before stopping traffic made intersections significantly safer and more efficient. It solved a critical urban problem so well that it just became the standard everywhere. It's the silent foundation of traffic flow in cities worldwide.
So when you look at these, the pacemaker, the vaccine, the traffic light, it shows a different side of American innovation, doesn't it? Not just commerce or convenience.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It highlights contributions to public health, public safety, building that foundational infrastructure, whether it's medical or civil like the traffic system or digital like the internet backbone. It reflects, I think, a broader commitment, at least sometimes, to collective well-being. It shows innovation serving progress, not just profit.
Right. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's do a few quick hits, some fun, maybe surprising ones.
Yeah, let's do it.
The TV remote control, Lazy Bones it was called originally, invented in Chicago 1950s.
Changed channel surfing forever.
The barcode scanner came out of an experiment at a grocery store in Ohio, 1974. Imagine checkout lines without it.
Ugh, don't make me.
And even the Super Soaker water gun, invented by Lonnie Johnson, who was actually a NASA engineer working on the Galileo mission to Jupiter.
Huh? From spacecraft to squirt guns. That's fantastic.
So when we pull all this together, what's the big takeaway? What does it all mean?
Well, I think it reinforces this idea of America as this incredible playground for innovation, historically and even now. You've got inventors from huge labs in Silicon Valley, but also, small-town tinkerers, people stumbling onto things by accident. And they're all still shaping how we live, how we move, eat, think. Everything.
These inventions, they seem so different, but you mentioned a common thread.
Yeah, I think they all identified some kind of need. Sometimes it was obvious, like needing stronger pants. Sometimes it was a hidden need, like faster communication people didn't even know they wanted yet.
Yeah.
And they didn't just solve it. They solved it in a way that could scale massively, far beyond the original idea.
Creating whole new ways of doing things.
Exactly. Understanding where they came from, these origins, it really helps you appreciate just how complex and interconnected our modern world is, how much we stand on the shoulders of these earlier ideas.
So here's a final thought for you, our listener. As you go about your day, look around. Think about the tech, the objects, the systems you use. Which seemingly small or maybe niche innovation today do you think might explode? What might become the next blue jeans or microwave oven? What everyday thing now will people look back on in 100 years as a truly pivotal invention, and why? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious.